In this video, I'm going to show you how to replace the front brakes on this Volkswagen GTI. Let's get into it. Remove the wheel. I'm going to use a 17mm socket. Take the lug bolts out. Once I go to take the last one out, I'm just going to hold the wheel on just so it doesn't fall. Then grab the wheel and slide it off. On the caliper, we're going to loosen up the bleeder screw first. Just take the little cap off, and then using a 11mm wrench, just crack it free. Not enough so it's dripping, just so it's a little bit looser. We're going to deal with that later. We're going to remove this spring. I'm just going to use some pliers so it doesn't go flying. And then just using a trim tool or a prying tool, just get it under here. Slide that off. On the caliper, there's these two little caps. You just want to use a pick or a screwdriver. Just pop these caps off. Using a 7mm hex socket, loosen up the caliper bolts. And grab the caliper, slide it off, flip it around, take the brake pads off. There's a brake pad that's attached to the piston. Just slide that out. Using a brake caliper hanger, just hang the caliper from the coil spring. Take these two bolts out for the caliper bracket. Use a 21mm socket. All right, let's get those loose. Slide the bracket off. I'm going to take this screw out, use a T30 socket. Take that off. You might need to hold the rotor on because it might be loose. If not, then you can just hit it with a hammer in this area. Take the rotor off. Now we're going to clean the hub surface. I'm just going to use a wire brush. Spray it down with some brake parts cleaner. I'm just going to spray a little anti-seize on the hub surface. That's good. Take some brake parts cleaner. We'll clean off the back side of the rotor. Wipe it down with a rag. Flip it around. Do the same on this side. Wipe it off. Take the rotor, line it up. Make sure the hole lines up with the threaded hole for the screw. Get that started. And just snug that down, not too tight. Now we're going to clean up the caliper bracket. I'm just going to use a wire brush. Good. Take the new brake pads, just make sure they slide good on there, which they do. That's good. All I'm just going to take some brake parts cleaner. We're going to clean the slide pins, caliper bolts. If you need to, you can wire brush these. A little bit of corrosion right here. That looks good. I'm just going to take a little silicone and just put it on the pins, or brake caliper grease. That's good. Slide the bracket over the rotor, and with new caliper bolts, get those started. Now torque these to 140 foot-pounds. And if you have a torque angle meter, you want to go an additional 90 degrees. If you don't have one, do the best you can. That's good. Now take the caliper off the hanger. Flip this around. I'm going to take a hose and go over the bleeder to get my wrench on, the 11mm wrench. Put the hose on, loosen up the bleeder. Just try to crack it free. And we're going to compress the caliper, and all the dirty fluid is going to go through the hose. Use a caliper compressing tool. I'm just going to take one of the old brake pads, stick that right there. Just go nice and slow. You'll see some of the fluid going through the hose. And that's all the way down. Now close the bleeder. Remove the hose. Just tighten that the best you can right now. And take the compressor tool off on the old brake pad. The new brake pad with the clips on it, and that's going to go into the caliper, into the piston. Just push that in like that. The other pad's going to go on the bracket. I'll slide this over, just like that. Take the bolts, get those started. Tighten those down. And we'll torque these to 22 foot-pounds. Now take the caps, slide those on. Snug up the bleeder screw, put the cap on, take the spring, you want to get that started, and then you can use some pliers. Just get this lined up. Tap it in place. That's good. Now put the wheel on. Line it up. Take the lug bolt, get that started. Snug those down. Now I'm going to torque the lug bolts to 90 foot-pounds in a cross pattern to tighten the wheel down evenly. Just go around again, double check. Nice and slow, we're going to pump the brake pedal. This vehicle has a manual transmission, so it's the pedal in the middle. Just go nice and slow. There's an air gap between the piston and the brake pads, so you want to get rid of that air gap. Then under the hood, you want to check the brake fluid level in the master cylinder reservoir, and it's located right here, and adjust accordingly.
When only the best will do, demand TRQ. The only company that lets you view before you do. TRQ is committed to offering the highest quality aftermarket auto parts that are engineered for peace of mind. Thanks for using and viewing with TRQ.